Let's talk about Nebius Group, stock symbol NBIS. This stock has been on quite a tear off of the April lows. It's gone from about $20 a share to over $140 a share, only of late to start to pull back quite a bit and creating some concern among investors. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that's hyped about the stock and think that it's only a matter of time before it turns around. But what I want to do is go through the technical analysis, provide my insights into what I think this stock might do going forward and what kind of levels of support lies underneath that we may be able to get a bounce from. So let's go ahead and get into that stock right now. Now check it out. NBIS, like I said, it's gone from about $20 all the way up to $140. Huge move there. But in the process of doing that, over the recent months and where it started to pull back, it formed this double top pattern. So that's always a bearish scenario. Usually signifies that a topping or that a top may be in on the stock. And that's exactly what's unfolded so far. You have the confirmation level here where it broke below the neckline at about $99.50 and has gone all the way down to $80 a share. But I wouldn't necessarily say if this is a full-blown top that the end of the selling is upon us. Instead, you have a huge gap that remains unfilled. That would be one of the things that I would expect to happen at some point. And it also sits on a little bit of a support level right there at about the 64 level. You also have a bear flag that has been in play here over the past month. And so this bear flag pattern, though not necessarily a textbook one perfectly, you can see where price escapes outside of it in both directions, to the upside of the pattern and to the downside. But nonetheless, you do have a bear flag pattern that we should be concerned with. When I zoom in a little bit further too, you'll see that after forming the double top, after confirming it too, that it has been dealing with this resistance level from the double top confirmation around that 99.50 level. Again, not what I would really call clean technicals because it has popped above it a couple of times, but you can still see nonetheless where there has been a little bit of a fight that has been ongoing between the bulls and the bears here. I mean, it's definitely a struggle to get back above that level and stay above it because each time we've popped above it, it's immediately sold off the following day. So again, zooming back out, we've talked about this gap that needs to get filled and that if this is truly a double top pattern, this bear flag is likely to be ushering in the next leg lower. Now, what makes this really interesting is that it's really at a crossroads here. Does it nullify this bear pattern or does it really keep the momentum to the downside going? Well, we have a test here coming up right around the corner at around $90 a share. Now, it's bounced off of this already. You can see where we tested it back in mid-November and it held. But now with this bear flag pattern starting to confirm to the downside, we may see another test of this level once again. It's a rising trend line. And if that breaks, that's where you start to open up the potential for this gap to be filled. It started to fill it a little bit, but we did not get a complete fill, not by a long shot. So this gap fill is in play if we break below this rising trend line. So that's really the outlook that I see for NBIS. There's the potentials that the market top gets put in and things start to get really ugly and it continues to fall apart, and maybe we even see 62, not just 65, but we drop even a little bit further there where the 200-day moving average is also at. But whether we hit 65, whether we hit 60, that's really not the focus of this video right now. It's support levels to watch if we start to break below this rising trend line. And so far, this rising trend line is held. If it gets tested in the days or weeks ahead, you're going to need to see this level confirm and bounce. Now, what I didn't like about this latest bounce is that these were the previous highs right here. When it came back down and tested it, it didn't form a higher high and not even anything close to it. It was a very meager, lackluster, whatever you want to call it, kind of a bounce. There just wasn't much to it. And so when you see bounces off of rising trend lines, much like what we saw going back to May, it made higher highs and higher lows all over the place. And then it got just completely out of control and made a enormous higher high. And then when it pulled back, it really couldn't provide anywhere close to the kind of enthusiasm that it had when it bounced off of this rising trend line back in August. So you're seeing that also play out with the volume. If you look at the volume, really going back to September, volume has been very strong. But then look at the volume here of late. Much different story. I mean, we're talking about some very, very low levels of volume, very little interest in buying as well. And so that's also a problem. It shows you that there wasn't any enthusiasm to buy this stock off of the rising trend line. And so that's a huge problem for me there as well, that you have very small levels of volume levels here, well below average. I mean, in some cases, 50% below recent averages. And so there's a reason why it wasn't able to get a bounce, is because there wasn't enough buying interest to drive it higher. The volumes simply disappeared. So on NBIS, I'd be very cautious. I'd be very cautious about getting long here. I don't see the volume coming in just yet. If it does test this $90 level and you start to see that volume accelerate, yes, there may be a reason to go ahead and get long right there. But you still want to plan out your trade. You want to have that line in the sand to where if stock drops below this rising trend line in the future, you're out of it. You don't want to really stay in it, because that's where you start to open up the doors to the gap below and to these two support levels underneath as well. If you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below. Is NBIS a stock that you're looking to target? Is it a stock that you want to get long on here, or are you waiting for much lower prices? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. Thank you. And remember, Jesus Christ, he's the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through him. Thank you, and God bless.